Welcome everybody, it's 6:30 so we'll start promptly. Welcome to Bath North Somerset's Cabinet meeting, the date is 6th of June and the bells go straight away when I'm talking, that's very nice of them. I just remind everybody to turn off their mobile phones please if you haven't done so already, and I'll make the following announcements reference webcasting. This Cabinet meeting is being filmed and the recording will be available on the Council's website. The images and sound recording may also be used for training purposes within the Council. Anybody speaking that does not wish to be filmed should make themselves known to the camera operator. And also remind councillors and speakers when you've finished talking to switch off your microphone, please. And also, some people may be aware there's a little thing going on as a general election. So there's a PERDA announcement I need to make. As we are now in the pre-election period, it is important to note that the Cabinet will be observing the requirements so as not to make statements and or enter into debates of a political and or sensitive nature. I'll start with asking the Cabinet to introduce themselves. Councillor Rigby, please.
Evening everybody, Councillor Amanda Rigby, Councillor for Bathwick and Cabinet Member for Highways.
Thank you, Amanda. Councillor Roper.
Good evening, Councillor Paul Roper, Councillor for Kingsmead Ward and Cabinet Member for Economic and Cultural Sustainable Development.
Thank you, Paul. Councillor Ball.
Councillor Tim Ball, Cabinet Member for Neighbourhoods and Ward Member for Twerton.
Thank you, Tim. Councillor Bourne.
Good evening, Councillor Alison Bourne, Councillor for Widcombe and Lincoln Wards and Lead for Adult Social Care and Public Health.
Thank you, Alison. Councillor May.
Good evening. I'm Councillor Paul May. I'm the Councillor for Whitchurch Village and Pensford, and I'm the Cabinet Member for Children's Services.
Thank you, Paul. Councillor Wood.
Dave Wood, Councillor for Mendip Ward, Deputy Leader and Cabinet Member for Council Priorities and Delivery.
Thank you, Dave. Councillor McCabe.
Yeah, good evening. I'm Councillor Matt McCabe. I'm the Councillor for Bath Avon South, and I'm the Cabinet Member for the Built Environment, Housing and Sustainable Development.
Thank you, Matt. Councillor Elliott.
Evening, everyone. I'm Councillor Mark Elliott. I'm Councillor for Lansdowne Ward and Cabinet Member for Resources.
Thank you, Mark. And finally, Sarah.
Councillor Sarah Warren, Councillor for Bath Avon North Ward, Deputy Leader and Cabinet Member for Climate Emergency and Sustainable Transport.
Thank you, Sarah. Right, so we'll start with the emergency evacuation procedures. Marie, please.
If the continuous alarm sounds, you must evacuate the building and proceed to the assembly point. From this room, you follow the green running person signs to the exit, using either the marble staircase at the end of the building nearest to Bath Abbey or the main staircase. Please do not use the lifts. The assembly point for this building is in Orange Grove on the green opposite outside Browns. There is an evacuation chair for use by disabled people in the corridor outside the Council Chamber Public Gallery. Alternatively, the area at the top of the marble staircase has been designated as a safe refuge where persons needing assistance should assemble.
Thank you, Marie. Apologies for absence. There are none. Declarations of interest on the floor, please. Councillor McCabe.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I live next door to the Culverhay site, which is agenda item 12, so I will recuse myself for that item.
Thank you, that's duly noted. Yep. Okay. Urgent business agreed by the Chair. Obviously, members of the public are aware that it is the 80th anniversary of the D-Day invasion today, and our thoughts go out to all the brave individuals that were involved in that operation, which was a pivotal point in our history, which allows us to have the democracy that we have today and enjoy the privileges we have today. And we should also be very aware that those privileges shouldn't be taken for granted, because there are people in the world that would take them off us. So a special thank you of gratitude should go to those individuals that took part in D-Day. Questions from the public and councillors. We have 13 questions, councillors, 21 questions from the public. Those questions have been answered. There are no councillors present, I see, for supplementary questions, so we'll move straight on to item number 7, statements and petitions from the public. So we'll start with Steve Osgood. Mr. Osgood, you have 3 minutes and we'll start whenever you're ready. Okay, thank you.
Good evening, Chairman. Before starting, I do need to say this representation was prepared for the April Cabinet meeting, but deferred until today. It follows a like representation to a full council on the 22nd of July 2021, which was followed by a 19-page submission in the September. In accordance with your requirements, a draft of this statement was submitted on the 2nd of June. If members have it in front of them, I'll try to take them through its key points in the time available to me. Point 1 is ICOMOS, the highest authority on World Heritage, acting for UNESCO, has objected to the planning application for a stadium on the Wreck. This is not exclusively a matter for your planning committee, with its 3-minute objection protocol. This committee, this council, must take a position on the 2 reports. Any slight on Bath's World Heritage status would have wide repercussions, not on the least on Bath's Spa Towns of Europe commitment. The historic core of Bath cannot be moved. Bath Rugby can. Its ambition for an 18,000-seat premier rugby stadium is now seen not to fit dimensionally on the Wreck. The vision of both the vendor and purchaser for the 1956 conveyance of the Wreck to the citizens of Bath was for an open green sward to the river for amateur recreation, a true public realm benefit. That vision is defined in the 3 key terms of the pre-conveyance agreement signed by the council. Not to be used otherwise than as open space, not to favour any single sport club or body, forever hereinafter, that is in perpetuity. High Court Judgment 1623 recognised this agreement. The Friends Association has lobbied the council for 20 years to sustain this vision and now seeks a champion within its elected councillors. Paragraph 5. The council subsequently re-registered the Wreck in the name of Bath Recreation Company Limited. No premium was involved. There was no onward conveyancing. The terms of 1956 remain unchanged. The council retains the role of guarantor of that vision. Bath Recreation Limited holds the Wreck as a public trustee, I quote, under public trust for the benefit of the public at large. It is not, I quote, effectively the owner. Paragraph 8. In the unlikely event of an inquiry as a result of the planning application for a stadium, it would fall on the council to explain how a self-funded citizen's asset and key part of the city's public realm has become a site for a privately owned commercial rugby stadium. Para 11. What is this association asking? Firstly, it asks of the council to reaffirm its role as guarantor of the 1956 vision. Secondly,
Mr. Odgood, can I ask you to sum up, please?
may I complete my second paragraph?
If that's your summing up, yes.
Yes, it is. Secondly, to ensure that the Council of Prodigy, Bath Recreation Limited, does not open itself up to an action under the Public Trustees Act. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Odgood. Thank you for your statement. We'll move on to David Ridgewell, please.
David Ridgewell, representing bus users and a member of the West of England Mural Combined Authority Pasture Panel in North Somerset. My concerns here today is because I've been working with villagers in Kelston, Swinford and Bitton, including the vicar at Bitton, for the loss of their bus services for 3 weeks. Obviously, it was right for Amanda to take the decision to have the trees cut. There's no dispute about that. They hit a bus and they had to do that. Where the problem developed is the West of England Mural Combined Transportation Authority, under the WECA Act, failed then to provide any alternative service to those communities. It failed to provide a Westlink service, it failed to provide any minibuses, and left those communities totally isolated, apart from taxis, where Zoom Cars was trying to charge £25 for trips between Bitton, Kelston, and Keynsham railway station. So what we don't have, and we should have been dealing with the bus service improvement plan this month, if we hadn't had a general election called and WECA's cancelled its meetings, which should have effectively put in place some sort of protocol between the highway authorities, the 4 of them, including North Somerset, and WECA to see what we do when we close roads in a sort of emergency and we don't cut villages off, especially on main trunk roads like the A431, which obviously serves major villages, the museum at Kingswood, the Bitton Railway, the river at Kelstone, Swinford. A lot of tourists also got inconvenience. The nearest they could get to those villages was actually Cherry Gardens. The buses didn't stop in Willsbridge, didn't stop in Cambridge, certainly didn't stop in Salford for people to get off and walk across the river by the footways. This needs proper investigation, and we're not really getting answers out of WECA. WECA just blames First Group, and it's not First Group's responsibility to carry out that sort of function. After all, the Bus Service 19 is partly funded by the West of England Mirror Combined Authority in a tender process. So that's my first point. Then the next point is, we're about to face more of this. Bristol City Council deferred the closure of the Whitchurch to Hengrove section of the A37 trunk road until after the Glastonbury Festival, which I believe they talked to Baines about. And then Somerset now wants to close the section from Wales right the way through to Glastonbury, which means services like 376, 376A, which are very important to the communities in that area, that go down to Bridgewater and Taunton, but serve Pensford, Whitchurch and the villages and into Bristol, will be on massive diversions. We still haven't got an answer, and we hope this council can talk to Somerset and WECA about what's happening about this. We've tried to stop it at the moment. Pasture groups are up in arms about these proposals. We need a protocol. And the bus service improvement plan is not getting public scrutiny because, obviously, it's going for government without any scrutiny. So that was the point I wanted to make. The other thing, we still need to come back on the subsidy issues. I support Sunday services on the 8th. Of course, we've got to work that out with the West of England Mirror Combined Authority. And we really cannot go on spending £40 per passenger on the Westlink demand responsive service. It's got to be commercial by 26. That is not viable. So we've got to make plans to take that forward. I hope those issues can be discussed both at Western Gateway and at WECA, and after the general election we'll come with a protocol. That's what we desperately need for communities served by these bus services. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Redgewell. I saw Councillor Warren was vigorously taking notes there as well. So that's very helpful. Thank you very much. Okay, Councillor Jess David, please.
Oh, so I'm so sorry, Chair.
Your right-hand button.
Okay, right, brilliant, thank you. So I'm here this evening in order to make the case for another really important bus issue, so it's good to follow David. And this is to improve the number 8 bus service, which serves the Moorlands estate and runs from Kingsway to Bath city centre. This is a vital route for many people, including those who, for age or mobility reasons, cannot walk to other routes. In April 2023, the Sunday and public holiday service was removed following the West of England Combined Authority's decision not to award a contract for the service. So like other services, it has also been cut over for recent years from every 15 minutes to now running every 40 minutes. And the service level has also been recently impacted by intermittent cancellations, which can leave people standing around for a long time. So while I'm really grateful that the Monday to Saturday service has remained and is supported by the council, I'd like to speak up for the many residents that have contacted me about the desperate need to improve this service. People have consistently raised this issue with me at drop-in sessions and on the doorstep over the last couple of years. And I then also recently asked for wider feedback on social media and received around 40 responses in 24 hours. Here are some of the quotes on the 2 top issues raised. Firstly, on the lack of a Sunday service, a resident has said, "It cuts us off from Bath for 1 day a week, especially in the case of those of us who struggle to walk long distances, as well as making links to other transport. Even if it was only a few times a day, that would be better than nothing." Another noted that a large swathe of the city is cut off from the centre the whole day. Another said it would be great to reinstate the Sunday and bank holiday service so that we can have a social life. And another said that even an hourly service would be helpful. I know a lot of elderly residents who rely on the service from Moorland Road and the city centre. Secondly, on the frequency of the number 8, a resident wrote, "I suffer from chronic pain and have been waiting for the bus, only for no bus to appear. This has happened more than a few times, both from town and home, and then I end up having to get an expensive taxi." Another said, "I use the service regularly to get from home to work. Recently it's been abysmal, with buses not showing up or running late. After a 12-hour day, it's a right pain. More regular service is needed to mitigate this problem." And another one said, "I must spend an hour in town every day in order to arrive and leave on time for a 9 to 5 job. The previous service of every 30 minutes worked much more smoothly and reliably." And another resident said, "I can't tell you how many times I've had to fork out for a taxi because the 8 has turned up 10 minutes late early or not shown up at all or been very late. I find it very unreliable." So informed by this feedback, my ask is for the Cabinet to support restoring a more regular 30-minute service and a Sunday service on this route. Based on previous inquiries, I understand the cost of the Sunday and public holiday service to be in the region of £45,000 a year. So secondly, in preparing for next year's budget, please can you look at every source of funding, including Community Infrastructure Levy, as a means to restore this vital route.
Thank you, Jess. I know that Councillor Warren and officers are lobbying WECA hard on this particular issue, and I'm sure they'll update you as they progress. But thank you very much for bringing it to our attention. Thank you. Right, next speaker, Lucy Bradley from Bath Student Parliament. Thank you for coming, Lucy. So, well, your 3 minutes starts whenever you're ready.
Dear Councillors, as a member of the Bath Student Parliament, a pupil-led organisation set on voicing the political opinions of students in the local area, I would like to talk you through our knife crime proposal. This proposal contains several suggestions of ways we believe will begin to tackle this urgent issue. It is something we all feel very strongly about, particularly with the recent rise in knife-related violence. Our first suggestion is to increase the outreach of police expertise into schools through assemblies and integrating their resources into the PSHE curriculum. We believe that improving the knowledge that young people have around why there is an increase in knife crime and related violence will help them feel less vulnerable and aim to diminish anxiety surrounding the issue. Furthermore, we believe it would be beneficial for the police to communicate with the teacher leadership teams in school and provide them with appropriate resources to make them feel confident in ensuring that they are doing the most they can to keep the young people they teach safe, both within and outside of school. Our next proposal links to the idea of the police providing resources for schools to use. We propose a BANES school-wide implementation of mandatory education modules about knife crime. These lessons could include teaching de-escalation techniques to students in addition to other parts such as the wider impact of knife crime on the community and the legal implications of carrying a knife. We believe this education is fundamental for increasing the understanding of young people to ensure they feel confident and safe. A further suggestion is introducing an increased protective presence in the city centre, particularly later at night. We would like there to be a specific team that can act immediately and decisively to assist young people if they are feeling vulnerable or at risk. Within this team would be a medical capacity that is centrally located at all times so that it can assist potential victims of any kind of violence before an ambulance has time to arrive. In addition to this, we would like to see bleed kits available around Bath in a similar manner to those currently found in Bristol, so that those already at the scene have the ability to administer life-saving treatment. Our final suggestion stems from the idea that we should be taking an active role in ensuring our personal safety. For this reason, we believe it is important for students to have the opportunity to access self-defence classes. At one local school, some pupils have paid for these classes and are learning crucial skills to protect themselves, but they are extremely expensive. We strongly believe that everyone should have access to such classes. Therefore, funding should come from a central source rather than relying on parental contributions. Our aim for the extra funding would be to provide access to self-defence instructors and validated online materials that schools can access. Within this course, we feel it is also vital to include fundamental first aid techniques pertinent to knife crime injuries as well as other street violence injuries. The impact of knife crime on our community is far-reaching, and unless we all work together, it will continue to destroy lives. We appreciate the time that you will take to consider our proposal, and we look forward to working with you to implement these measures and bring about safer streets in Bath. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lucy, and very well said. Public speaking is sometimes very difficult. I know that from personal experience, so very well done. Thank you very much. And hopefully we can get some time for you to give those views over to the Cabinet members that want to meet up with you. And I also know that PDS panel is working hard on this topic as well, so we'll pass on your information to them as well. So thank you very much. Right, Councillor Joel Hurst, please.
Thank you. As a representative of Odd Down Ward, Councillor Steve Hedges and myself would like to celebrate the proposal to secure the Culver Hay site for education. While our preference would have been for a regular community school, retaining the site for education is very much welcomed. And there is much to commend in the paper before you today. The focus on our most vulnerable children, those with special education needs and those who need alternative provision, and also the investment in jobs in the southwest of Bath. The Cabinet member and officers deserve a huge thanks for persisting in bringing these business cases forward and securing the government funding. The proposal is an imaginative way of bringing together two different needs onto the one site. The proposal will ensure that Culverhay continues with education, and the proposal reduces the hardship for families by providing specialist places more locally in Baines, reducing the burden of long commutes. However, there is a could do better element to my comments, which I'm aware Councillor May is working hard to kind of progress forward. For some reason, I have lost that bit of the speech. So the could do better bit is focusing on the swimming pool element, and in particular, our young people in particular deserve swimming pools in local communities. We must continue to work hard to ensure that the site has the opportunity to have a swimming pool and fitness facilities on site. It's not acceptable that 25% of our 11-year-olds can't swim. It's not acceptable that it's hard to access swimming pools in the southwest of Bath. And it is not acceptable that 38% of our residents in deprived areas are disabled from accessing active exercise facilities. We need to do better. I understand that the economic circumstances make it very difficult to fund new swimming pools, but we need to be ambitious, and if we care about the health and well-being of our residents, and particularly our residents in the most deprived part of the city of Bath, we need to focus on that and find a solution. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Councillor. Yeah, I fully agree that health and well-being is a key part to the future planning of the site. Yes. Councillor Sarah Moore, please, final speaker. Thank you.
Thank you. As a ward member for Twerton and Whiteway and a member advocate for accessibility, I'm pleased to see the new school paper that's being brought forward today at tonight's meeting. The Rush Hill school site has been left empty for far too long, causing so many young people in our area longer journeys to a suitable school. Baines clearly has a shortfall of SEN and alternative provision places, and this school will be welcomed by families across my ward and the wider area. I'm really pleased to see the amended recommendations allowing more flexibility on the site, and would ask that any non-educational element of this proposal is clearly defined and the education area is secured so that this area cannot be allowed to expand any further than the original plans in the future. This is a worry for residents, as this site is in the perfect location for education provision, and we must not lose this. I would also like to ask that the community provision is never forgotten, and that the full sports and swimming facility is reinstated on this site as soon as possible. I urge each of you to support this paper this evening and allow work to commence on this project as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Moore. Thank you very much. That concludes our public speaking. Apologies to people that are listening online. The Abbey is in full swing, so you may just be hearing bells at the moment. You're not got ringing in your ears. We have definitely got ringing in the building. Right. If those public speakers wish to leave, you may leave now, before we move on to the substantive parts of the meeting. Right, we'll move on to item 8, which is the minutes of the previous meeting, 7th of March. Do I have a mover from the floor? Somebody? Yes. You've all put your hand up now. Councillor Wood, second by Councillor Warren. Yep. All in favour? Unanimous, thank you. I'll sign them now. Or do we need to use the electronic voting system? I think we did, didn't we? We've done it now, haven't we? Yeah, sorry. I'm not keeping up with the times. Yeah. Okay, I promise you the next one we'll use the electronic voting system. Right, item number 9, consideration of single member items. There is none. Item 10, consideration of matters referred by policy development scrutiny committees. There are none. So we'll move to item number 11, recent single member decisions taken. Ask the council to note those, and no debate is necessary on them. So we'll move to item number 12. Sorry, Councillor Wood.
Declare a personal interest in item 12.
You may declare it now.
That is declared.
Okay. So, Councillor Wood and Councillor McGabe to leave then. Thank you very much. Wait for them to leave. Okay. Councillor May to move item 12, Culver Hay Education Provision supporting the safety valve. Over to you, Councillor May.
Thank you, Chair. Cabinet, this proposal represents the most exciting opportunity for this council to secure delivery of 2 new schools for our community in Bath and to revitalise a site that has long been reserved for education use. We recently announced agreements with the Department for Education to fund a new school for children and a special education needs and disabilities and an alternative provision school. We now need to confirm that Baines will make land available as soon as possible and that in the main purpose of tonight's decision, which hopefully will be made. As you know, the former Bath Community Academy at Culver Hay has been closed for many years, following an earlier DFE decision. Since then, there has been a question mark over the future of the site, with various interim uses and potential pressure for the site to be reallocated, especially given the condition of the existing buildings on the site for conversion. Our view has always been that this site must be used for education. Local members and I have worked tirelessly to preserve that education function, so I am pleased and relieved that tonight's report asks us to confirm in principle that the council will make the Culver Hay site in part available as the location for these 2 new schools. There are many advantages in co-locating the 2 schools on one site, including the possibility of some joint facilities and leisure facilities for shared use for the public out of school hours. This has always been an important factor for the local community, and I'm glad that this door is being kept open. I think it's clear to all colleagues that there is a great need across the country for better provision for children with special needs and disabilities, and we're investing in other schemes across Baines to meet those needs. We are fortunate that we already have 3 excellent special schools in our area. However, we still need this extra capacity because demand has increased substantially in recent years. Some local children have had to be placed at expensive specialist schools outside of our immediate area. The new school will provide 120 places to help fill that gap, and I am pleased the established 3 Ways Academy Trust has been contracted to work with us through the DFE commissioning process. As Cabinet Member for Children, I work closely with the Parent Carers Forum. It's clear that children, parents and families all feel the stress when a young person needs an education healthcare plan, EHCPs as we always call them, and particularly so when it means travelling further to school. Anything we can do to reduce that pressure for vulnerable people having to leave our area has to be better for everyone. In addition, travelling often requires taxis and carers to accompany the child to those expensive out-of-area providers. Local provision will give a better outcome all round. The 55-place alternative provision school will be contracted with Midsummer Norton Schools Partnership, which is another very successful local multi-academy trust and will be called Sulis Academy. Alternative provision aims to support vulnerable children and young people who have been excluded or at risk of exclusion from mainstream schools. Alongside early intervention, the Academy will provide high quality and full-time education and vocational opportunities. The aim is to support children and young people to rejoin mainstream education or towards employment. Again, this is a brilliant opportunity to make sure our children and young people get the best education and start in life that they can. I'm sure my colleagues will comment further on the cost of preparing the site and the long-term financial advantages of this decision. A future risk assessment will be carried out to decide whether Baines or the DFE will lead on the design and contracts for the build. The overall site allocation issues need to be worked through in detail after this decision is progressed, which is why we recommend keeping options open as things develop over a long period of time with regards to any surplus land. One option may be a small amount of housing to help fund extra facilities and standards. At this stage, we need to be open and accountable regarding value for money for any subsequent proposals. The Council will be responsible for handing over a cleared site to the DFE, ready for that development, so we must also consider the costs of carrying out that work and the impact on current users. In summary, Chair, I would like to emphasise that this is a really significant, positive investment for local young people, which will secure the Culver Hayes site for educational use and bring benefits to the local communities. This decision reflects years of hard work by officers and colleagues on behalf of some of the most vulnerable children in our area, and I would like to take this opportunity to pay tribute to the Director of Education and his team for their diligence and persistence in working with the DFE to reach this point. I therefore move the updated recommendations as shown on the screen. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor May. Councillor Roper to second, please.
Thank you, Chair. I'm Cabinet Member with responsibility for the corporate estate, and the corporate estate holds the assets owned by the authority that are mostly non-commercial assets, which generate little or no income and usually come with associated costs such as insurance, heating, lighting and security. Culver Hay is a typical corporate estate asset. The partially occupied Culver Hay site has been a significant drain on finances since 2008, with a net cost to the authority of over £500,000 over the past 3 years. Local Liberal Democrat members and this administration have fought very hard to maintain the site for educational use. This has come at a cost, but the DFE funding that we have secured for the 2 new schools is a major victory and will ensure the site is used for education for many decades to come. By adopting this paper, officers will be able to move ahead with having the site cleared, ready for the construction phase. This is a DFE requirement before they begin. Unfortunately, the existing buildings are not suitable for repurposing into 2 separate schools and would not meet current required energy standards. However, clearing the site will reduce the current operating costs to next to zero. This will be a significant saving to the authority in a time of need and is further good news. It is of interest to note that the costs of clearing the site for redevelopment must be borne by this authority and is not funded by the DFE. This money has to be found from the council's own budgets. Whilst we cannot yet determine all of the details in what will be a complex and lengthy project, it is hoped and indeed expected that the 2 schools can be created and still leave some land that could be released to generate income or capital receipts that will enable us to fund the clearance works and possibly support wider community uses on the site. I must stress that the land I refer to is not the playing fields. These will be maintained. We've heard from Councillors Hurst and Moore this evening about the wider aspirations for the site, which are shared by many in the community and amongst our members. I can assure Cabinet we will work hard to try and deliver as comprehensive community use for the site as possible. Funding has been secured for a hydrotherapy pool and sports hall for the site, and it will be our objective to enhance these over and above the basic funding from the DFE and ensure these assets are made available for community use. The mechanisms, business case and funding by which we achieve this have yet to be determined, but it is something we will all strive for. There is still much work to do to deliver these 2 new schools, and this paper represents the first steps on our exciting journey for this much-loved site. This is, however, fantastic news, and I'd also like to thank officers for all their efforts in securing this funding from the DFE. It gives me great pleasure to second the paper. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Roper. So I'll open for debate. Councillor Elliott, please.
Thank you, Chair. I'll be brief, but I'm strongly supportive of this proposal. First, because it's the right thing to do. We have a legal and moral duty to provide sufficient school places for pupils in our area with special educational needs and disabilities, and this proposal helps us meet that duty. Secondly, it's better for pupils to have provision within our area rather than being allocated places outside of the area, as is the case with so many pupils at the moment. It reduces the distances of journeys that those children have to make, giving them more time with their families. It also reduces the transport costs for those pupils, and as Cabinet members know, home to school transport costs have played a significant part in the huge pressure on the council budgets over the last few years. Thirdly, it'll reduce our reliance on out-of-area school placements, bringing a significant reduction in costs year on year. An average independent school placement costs between £80,000 and £120,000 a year. An average state special school placement will cost between £20,000 and £40,000 a year. Our cumulative net saving over the next 7 or 8 years should be well over £5 million. So this is definitely win-win. This kind of provision helps improve the lives of SEND pupils and their families, and it's better for the council. I'm very pleased to support the proposal this evening.
Thank you, Councillor Elliott. Councillor Ball.
Chairman, can I thank you, Councillor May, for the hard work he's done on this, and officers as well, for putting this proposal together this evening. It should be noted that the original recommendations have been amended to actually match in the communities on site. I was a former pupil of West Hills Boys School, which is the predecessor to Culver Hay, many years ago. And we had a swimming pool then. It was paid for by the parents of the school, who raised the money themselves and paid for it. I remember doing my mile swim in cold water in an open air pool. It was since covered over by a roof many years ago. But it has a lot of interest in local people, local community, that there is a school vision on site. Particularly for a lot of local pupils in the Twerton, Whiteway and West of Bath area who need alternative provision schooling. Many of these go out of county at the moment and the parents really struggle. And also some have no placements at all and are stuck at home at one of our NEETs because we don't have the places for them. So absolutely essential we get this up and running as fast as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ball. Councillor May, would you like to sum up?
Thank you. I just reinforce the point that this is a major decision for the Council and the Cabinet tonight, in particular to make sure that we do get that education provision provided for young people, and we've left the door open with regards to the site to make sure that we get the best value for the community moving forward. So I move the proposal, the revised proposal that you've got up on the screen tonight.
Thank you very much. We'll move to the vote. All in favour? Oh, no. Yes. Oh, no, it's ready for you now. Yeah. I'll tell you what. That's... We need to press the plus. Somebody's... Yeah, there. Done. 7 out of 7. All done. That's unanimous. Thank you very much. Okay, would somebody like to ask Councillors McCabe and Wood to come back in, please? You'd have been in a couple of minutes earlier if I'd have worked out the electronic voting. Brilliant. Thank you very much. Right, we'll move to item 13, which is Adult Social Care Transfer Evaluation Report. Councillor Bourne to move, please.
Thank you, Chair. This paper evaluates the recently completed process of bringing our adult social care services back in-house. We took the decision to do this because we believe that Baines Council is best placed to provide the social work provision that our residents need. We were cautioned against bringing the services back in-house as the move was perceived to be risky and potentially costly, but we felt that the benefits outweighed those risks. We wanted to regain control of these essential statutory services and to ensure that they could never again be transferred to a new provider without our knowledge. Had we not done this, the alternative proposition was to continue to contract services out to other providers, which has been the model in recent years. During that time, staff working in our local adult social care services have been transferred from Baines Council to Serona, from Serona to Virgin Care, from Virgin Care to HCRG Care Group, and most recently from HCRG Care Group back to Bath and North East Somerset Council. They have not welcomed this regular change of employer, their perceived lack of influence over decisions and processes, the accompanying alterations to their working practices, changes to their terms and conditions, and the inherent disruption to services and loss of productivity that tends to result from such changes. All the staff I've spoken to since the transfer have said how well the process was handled and how pleased they are to be working for Bath and North East Somerset Council. Council officers worked incredibly hard to make this happen. They learnt from the experience of previous transfers to ensure that staff were kept informed, had opportunities to influence proceedings, and were moved across with minimal disruption to service provision. They also ensured that the inevitable costs of such a transfer, and that's a cost of contracting out that tends to get little attention, were minimised and were far less than initial estimates and indeed the budget identified for the work. I'd like to formally thank officers in the Adult Social Care team, particularly the Director of Adult Social Care and the Programme Manager for her skillful leadership of the transfer. Also, staff working in a range of corporate services, such as IT, estates, HR and payroll, who ensured that services were not disrupted, that staff were made to feel welcome, could access the tools they needed to do their jobs properly from day one, and they were paid on time. I would also like to thank the HCRG Care Group, who worked constructively with us throughout the transfer process. The decision to bring these services back to the Council demonstrates our commitment to the staff who provide adult social care services and underpins our belief that this model of provision offers more opportunities for collaborative work and innovation to deliver high quality, best value services that meet our residents' social care needs as set out in the Care Act of 2014. The execution of the decision also demonstrates that despite all the cuts to council funding and the prevailing wisdom that the private sector is best placed to provide social care, this administration has demonstrated that it has the political vision to challenge that view in the interests of our staff and residents, and that the council has the expertise to implement the necessary change processes for a successful transfer. This is a significant achievement for this administration, which should be celebrated. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Bourne. Councillor McCabe to second, please.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, this is a story about risk and complexity, isn't it? There's always how much risk can you mitigate against, how much risk is unacceptable, and how much risk are you willing to live with. And I think for politicians it's sometimes a bit daunting to decide to live with risk, but in this case I think the administration chose to accept more risk because it was the right thing to do. Absolutely the right thing to do to bring this service back in-house for the reasons Alison has mentioned, Councillor Bourne has mentioned. And interesting that with politicians who are willing to live with more risk, officers have absolutely pulled out all the stops to really mitigate as much as they possibly could, because it is incredibly complex. It's been incredibly complex, this process. You've got post-transfer planning, you've got terms, conditions and salaries you've got to get across, you've got staff engagement, union engagement, all of whom have been brilliant. You've got work streams with new governance, and at the same, whilst all this is going on, you've got to minimise the disruption to service users. And I think what this report shows is just how fantastically well everyone involved in this process has done. So again, I'd like to congratulate everybody who's been involved in this process. Congratulations, you've all done a brilliant job, and it's a huge success, and I'm very happy to second this.
Councillor McKay, well said. I'll move to the debate. Councillor May.
Right, I've shown up now as Councillor Wood, but I'm Councillor May. I'm the Cabinet Member for Children's Services. I want to support this. This evening we've had two major items at Cabinet. The first is around education and the new provision for education. And the second is that how we've dealt with the bringing back of the adult services in-house. And I think that we do need to make sure we give the compliments to the officers, because there's so much that could have gone wrong, and we've seen in other big transfers that it does go wrong. So the effort that's been put in to make sure that's been smooth, I think has been a great credit to everybody, and my colleague Councillor Bourne for making sure that we've kept that political line all the way through. I've always been an in-house advocate for doing services in-house, because you can actually make the advantage of working together between adult services and children's services, the health elements. So there is a great advantage for us working together in the future, as long as we actually do that effectively and efficiently. And the change that's taken place has been really a good sign that that's going to work better in the future. And I very much support this, because around the complexities of TUPE, pensions, payroll, there is so much to go wrong. But the important thing, I think, from my point of view, is that we haven't adversely affected the communities that we serve. Because when you get into a major task like this, it's very easy to forget that our reason for doing this is about the communities that we serve. And I think that's been a really, really positive message. So I very much support this tonight. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor May. Right, we'll move to the electronic vote, please. That is unanimous. Thank you very much. Very quick, very efficient. Well done. Yeah. Okay, we will move to the final item of this evening, which is item number 14. It's the update on progress on delivering the Corporate Strategy 23-27 and Annual Performance Report for 23-24. Councillor Wood to propose, please.
Okay. Yep, working. Fantastic. Thank you very much. Very pleased to move item 14, which is update on the progress of delivering the Corporate Strategy 23-27 and Annual Performance Report 23-24. It's quite hard to know where to start, really, when you look through this report and realise the sheer quantity of achievements delivered by our hard-working officers over the last year. But to pick out a few of those, amongst those achievements, opening the Pixash Waste Recycling Facility in Keynsham, being shortlisted in the Local Government Chronicle Awards as Most Improved Council category, bringing back social care in-house with no service disruption, as we've just heard, agreed an ambitious new economic strategy which prioritises green growth, good jobs and affordable housing. We've resurfaced 15 kilometres of roads, filled 7,000 potholes while supporting hundreds of refugees, and progressing regeneration in Keynsham, Midsummer Norton and Radstock. Renewables are up, emissions per house are down, air quality is improved and tree planting is up. This really is a testament to the hard work of officers, councillors and the vision of the Lib Dem administration. I move item 14.
Thank you very much, Councillor Wood. I think you just avoided going political there. Well done. I ask Councillor Rigby to second, please.
Thank you very much, Chair. I'm going to disagree with Councillor May for a second. He said there were two important papers in front of us this evening, and I would like to say that there are three, because the paper that Councillor Wood has just moved, I think is very important for us to keep an eye on what we're doing, how much better we're getting in many areas. And I too want to take a little bit of time to thank the officers, and it won't be a surprise to nobody, I'm going to be concentrating mainly on my highways team, because look at some of the highlights that are in the report we have in front of us. The Bath Park and Ride schemes were ranked second best in the whole country for customer satisfaction. The Council's highway maintenance team was ranked best in the South West, and that was a national independent survey which analysed results from 111 authorities across England. We actually repaired 6,838 potholes, which was averaging 20 repairs a day. Like everywhere in the country, we found that recent climatic conditions have not been kind to our road surfaces, and this is an absolute achievement that we've been able to do so well. During 2023, highways resurfacing works were carried out at 54 locations across Baines, In total, because I can never, when someone tells me something in terms of kilometres, I can't actually really envisage it. But when they tell me that it's the equivalent of 554 tennis courts, I can, and that is what we managed to do last year. And we completed that annual resurfacing budget on time and under budget, despite the ongoing challenges posed by rising material costs. We looked at 20,666 drainage gullies and 17,891 of those were cleaned. The Fix My Street system has worked absolute wonders, and we get so many people writing in saying how much easier it is for them to report an issue and for us to very quickly go and fix it. Our pay and display machines were upgraded, so our new machines, we worked hard to make sure that we offer a cash payment alongside card and my payment options, all of which provide an improved user experience. And we also keep residents safe in the cold weather. Last winter we carried out 61 gritting runs and gritted 15,921 miles of highway. No idea how many Wembleys that would be, but I'm sure it is some. If you look at what we maintain, it's amazing. It's over 1,000 kilometres of carriageway, 885 kilometres of footways, 16,000 streetlights, 159 bridges, 30,000 drainage gullies and 932 kilometres of public rights of way. And the only way we can do this is with the team that we've got that work exceptionally hard, sometimes under really very challenging conditions, and I am super, super, super proud of them. And I'm really pleased that this is also going to be, it's starting to be noticed outside, both on social media and in reports like this, exactly how much we do and we deliver on time. So my heartfelt thanks to all of them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Ruby. I'll move to the debate. Councillor Warren and then Councillor McCabe. Councillor Warren.
So the improvements we're seeing in this report in relation to our climate and ecological performance indicators are testament to the hard work of the whole council over the year. As led by the Green Transformation team, we've been refocusing activities across all departments so as to tackle the climate and nature emergencies and aim to cement our position as a national leader on this most important topic. I'll be bringing our climate and nature annual report to next month's Cabinet meeting, and that details wide-ranging success stories across a whole range of activities. So for this evening, I will restrict my remarks just to those areas specifically covered in tonight's report. So we are seeing a reduction in overall carbon emissions for the district as well as per home, and an increase in home energy performance certificate rating. We've also seen increased renewables capacity, both on the council's own estate and across the wider district. The council has facilitated this in part through the provision of information to residents about energy efficiency at home via our website and through our wider communication activities, such as participating in the running of a Green Open Homes event. We also direct residents to the West of England Combined Authority's Retrofit West service, which we were instrumental in establishing as a constituent authority of WECA. We may also be starting to see the impacts of our new net zero new build planning policy that came into force last year and requires all new homes built in the district to be carbon neutral. I want to congratulate the Air Quality and Clean Air Zone teams for the reduction we are seeing in air quality measurement sites that breach our new local target of 36 micrograms of nitrogen dioxide per cubic metre. More demanding, of course, than the national limit value of 40, as these have reduced now to just 7. We're seeing a steadily improving picture in terms of air quality, both in the city and outside. And we've seen air quality in Keynsham and Saltford improve to the point where last week we were able to revoke the air quality management areas for those areas. And we will be coming back later this year to present a new air quality strategy, setting out our ambition to go further still. I want to thank our strategic transport and highways teams who continue to work hard alongside the West of England Combined Authority to roll out not only current innovation such as livable neighbourhoods and our e-scooter trial, then ongoing services such as cycle training, but also preliminary work that will in due course bring us new bus and cycle routes around the district, with a view to providing a widening choice of transport modes and reducing carbon emissions from transport. Despite all the hard work and achievements documented here, however, we do still have a long way to go to achieve net zero. We've heard this week that new data from the World Meteorological Organization shows that the world has, over the last 12 months, breached the Paris Agreement's proposed limit of 1.5 degrees of heating above pre-industrial levels. So we've seen an average global temperature of 1.63 degrees above pre-industrial levels over the period from June last year to May this year, and a string of months with record-breaking heat. We therefore need, as a council, to continue and redouble our efforts across all areas of work and take early advantage of any new opportunities to facilitate faster action that may be afforded us in the coming months.
Thank you, Councillor Warren. Councillor McCabe.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I would like to draw attention to our award-winning planning team. Councillor Warren alluded to the local plan partial update last year, which put us really on the map nationally as Progressive Council in terms of tackling climate emergency. The team also managed at the same time to deal with 1,800 planning applications over the year. Housing services I'd like to mention, as well as reducing the number of people in overnight accommodation. We've also delivered our first 50 affordable housing units, which we're very proud of. And I recently joined the officer who almost single-handedly developed our damp and mould charter. And I joined her on the Housing Ombudsman's podcast on damp and mould. For anyone who likes a bit of niche listening, it's well worth a drop in. And I also had the privilege of, just a week or so ago, of meeting the community equipment team, who I think GP'd in about 18 months ago, 12 months ago, doing an extraordinary, valuable job of helping people, say, out of the RUH, back into their homes. They provide the equipment needed to keep people able in their homes and to keep them in their homes as long as they can. So the council is blessed with some really fantastic officers who do their utmost to help improve people's lives. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor McCabe. Councillor May.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted a very, very quick point. We've this evening discussed about the 2 new schools at Culverhay, and when you look at this report, it quite clearly, I made reference to education and healthcare plans. We've gone up to 2,300 EHCPs now, and just a few years ago it was less than 1,000. So the growth has been absolutely enormous. And if they want the justification for what we've been discussing tonight, I think it really brings home the fact that the authority has got an increasing demand, and we're trying to deal with that as effectively as we can, working with that funding from the Department for Education. And I want to thank Councillor Rigby for pointing out my error in counting. I care, but I can't count. But thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor May. Councillor Bourne.
I'm sure she said ball or born. Right, thank you. Yes, I've already spoken about the achievement that Adult Social Care has made in bringing services back in-house, so I've covered that one. But I'd also like to mention another significant achievement by the Adult Social Care team, which is in relation to the partnership work that they've done to significantly reduce hospital delays, particularly at the RUH. The numbers of people delayed and the numbers of bed days taken by people from Bath and North East Somerset who are delayed in hospital has really reduced enormously over the past year. And what that does is it helps to ensure that our local hospital beds are available to people with acute needs when they need them, rather than having to wait to get into those beds. So that really is a huge achievement which helps the whole of the system. And it's down to the hard work of the team and their commitment to working in partnership with the voluntary sector and other players in the system. So I'd like to commend them for that as well.
Thank you very much. Councillor Elliott.
Thank you, Chair. I'd just like to highlight the work done by the officers who are providing corporate services to the council in order for them to achieve these things, who often don't get highlighted because the things that get highlighted in the reports are the outcomes that the public are seeing. And that's quite right, but without things like finance and IT, none of these things would work. And the fact that we achieved all of these fantastic things and balanced our budget, I think is something that we should be very, very proud of. I'm very pleased to commend our officers on the achievement, because many councils would be extremely envious of that. So I just want to highlight the work done by the officers who are providing services to the council itself.
Thank you, Councillor Elliott. I will sum up. Recently, canvassing, I had the privilege of listening to a set of parents trying to explain my role as leader of the council to their young 5-year-old, and it came down to, this is the person that says yes or no, and my response of no didn't persuade the young person for thinking that was actually correct. But on a serious note, being leader of the council is made far easier by the exceptional members of staff that we have in Baines, the exceptional quality of the cabinet, the great support that I personally get and cabinet members get from the quality and service provided by the officers of Baines, and that shouldn't be underestimated. The vast list of things that have been achieved this year alone under huge financial pressure is testament to that hard work. So from myself to everybody, a big thank you from the leader of the council. Thank you very much. We will move, unless Councillor wants to sum up, we'll move straight to the vote. So we'll move straight to the vote, please. That is unanimous. Therefore, I will thank everybody for attending and for watching on YouTube, and I will close the meeting. Thank you very much.